So first I'd like to talk a little bit about what we're going to kind of go through today, give you guys an overview, and yeah, and then we'll get started talking about kind of an introduction to what GIS is, kind of start at the beginning. And then we'll move on and we'll actually start using the Arcgis desktop software that we're going to be focusing on today. And we'll give you a really quick overview of how that program is laid out. And then through our exercises that we'll go through throughout the day, you'll get a little bit more exposure to working with it and get more comfortable with it. And then once we're done with that, we're going to talk a little bit about the Geodatabase and data models. And the Geodatabase is kind of the storage format for all of our geographic information. So we'll try to get familiar with that. And then we'll talk about data models, which are kind of these templates for getting started with GIS projects. And we'll specifically talk about the one that we've developed for public gardens. We'll take a little bit of a break, give you guys a breather. And then I actually forgot to remove this from the agenda, it looks like. But after we go through that, we're going to skip this part about downloading and installing the data model. We've created some instructions for you to be able to go through that step by step in your own time. So in the effort of the interest of saving time today, we'll kind of skip over that part. I'll point you in the right direction to where you can go and do that and follow those instructions. We'll just focus on doing more of the exercise stuff today. But what we will do is actually go through a tour of the template or data model that we've developed and get you guys really familiar with what it contains and what it's capable of mapping. Then after that, we'll actually go through a series of exercises for the remainder of the day. We'll start by adding aerial photography to this template that we've created, and then going through a process of digitizing base map data. So we'll use that photography and start tracing things that we can see on it, starting with boundaries of different parts of the garden, including sidewalks and things like that. And then we'll take a break for lunch, and as we move on through the afternoon, we'll go through some exercises of how to add plant data to our GIS. And then we will actually go through a kind of a simulated exercise of collecting data in the garden with a mobile device. So it's pretty common for a lot of gardens to use mobile devices to either kind of do field sampling of things like plant attributes such as size and condition, or actually to use a GPS unit or surveying equipment to actually accurately record the locations of those features in the garden. So even though we're not going to actually use mobile devices and go outside today, we're going to kind of simulate the process that you would go through to do that using the same software that you would use on your mobile device. We'll take another break after that, and when we come back, we'll start wrapping up the day with an exercise of taking all the information that we've created in this little mini GIS that we've been working on all day, and actually make a collection map or a map of the area that we've been working on that we'll be able to export as a PDF that you could share with other members of your institution or post online or something along those lines. Then we'll wrap up the day by kind of talking about some additional resources that we have out there to help you guys get going with your projects. Of course, answer any questions you may have. And that's about it. So it's going to be a pretty action-packed day. We've got lots to cover. You'll probably all be exhausted by the end of the day, as I will be, but hopefully you'll get a lot out of it. So as I mentioned, the goals for today's workshop are to really kind of get you up to speed with basic GIS concepts and skills. One of our main goals is, obviously, we're going through a lot of stuff today, and not all of it's gonna stick, but the general idea is to expose you to all these things and walk you through the steps and give you an overview of kind of the general process of doing this, so that when you go to try to create a GIS at your own garden or landscape, that you'll be familiar with the steps, and we'll try to provide you all the resources from today. We're recording this workshop, and I'll post my PowerPoints and the agenda and any of the workshop materials online so that you can try to follow along later if you want to be able to go over some of this stuff at a later date. We'll also, as I mentioned, we're going to cover the Geodatabase itself, our data storage format, and what data models are. We'll talk specifically about the ArcGIS Public Garden data model, which is the template we've developed for doing this sort of project. And then we're going to cover this idea of heads-up digitizing, which is, as I mentioned, using aerial photography to actually trace features and put things on the map without actually going out into the garden. Then we'll simulate that mobile device process and create a plant collection map.